Welcome to the Meat Mistress podcast. I'm your host, Emma Butler, and this is my audio diary of life on the farm as a full-time farmer, wife, and mother, not always in that order. And oh yeah, I also own and operate a butcher shop. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time as I chat all things farming, small business, and more. Welcome to my new series. I am calling this the Small Business Series. So many of you that listen to this podcast or that follow me on social media ask me all kinds of questions about business ownership, entrepreneurship, navigating things like customer service, customer relationships, even managing employees, how to start a business, how to operate your business, all kinds of things. I get asked all kinds of questions. I appreciate all of the communication that we have in my DMs, but I really wanted to start a series where I could talk about just small business related stuff, because I feel like as small business owners, the common thread between all of us is the fact that we're a different breed. As a small business owner, we're built different. That is what it is. We're a little bit invincible. You have to have a little bit of callous. You really do. And I mean that in the best way. You can be callous but not cold. There's definitely a difference between the two. But I think it's really important to make note of the thing that connects us all in entrepreneurship. And that is the fact that we seem to face similar themes, whether that's, customers, building a website, managing sales, boundaries, which I've talked about before, all kinds of things we seem to navigate together. And I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like we're all going through it at the same time. Now, for example, at the time of recording this podcast, it is summertime. So as an entrepreneur, whether you are in, a t-shirt making business, or whether you're like me and you sell meat direct to consumer, summertime is busy time. The summertime is busy whether you have a business or not. Maybe you just have a family. Summertime is busy. And so this being the peak of busy season, I feel like is a good time to sort of start this series. So maybe we can cover some topics and navigate together the best we can the season we have ahead, because it's a time to be alive right now in my world anyway. I don't know if you're experiencing that too in your business, but things seem a little crazy. And I mean it in the best way of we're coming off this sort of, I want to say like COVID high. And I know I don't want to talk, if you've met me, I don't want to talk about the vid and the big C. None of that interests me at all. That's not a conversation point that I really ever want to have, because we're past that, girl. But it did do something really interesting for the economy. I've spoken before on it, but I'll just reiterate it again, that our business would not be where it is had that global phenomenon not happen. It was one of the best things to ever happen to our business. Our business tripled and bloomed and absolutely flourished during that time when the world was shut down. If your business didn't, my heart goes out to you. I understand and I sympathize with you. And I'm sorry to hear that it didn't go that way for you. But for my business, I had the opposite effect, and our business just imploded. And we would definitely not be where we are today had that not happened. And it's bizarre. And I feel a little bit alone in that, because so many other businesses couldn't make a go of it or couldn't sustain through that time period of the world being shut down. And again, my heart goes out to you. But in the sense of being an entrepreneur, we are resilient. We are tough. We have to make sacrifices and choices that people that work for somebody else don't have to make. When you're a leader, and when you are an employer, and when you are a business owner, you have to do the things. You really do. You have to do everything all the time. And it can be exhausting and it can be really hard. So the small business series that I'm going to start talking about is going to be focused mostly on topics that affect small businesses, topics that affect my business, how I navigate things, challenges that I come up against, how I face them, how we started. All kinds of stuff is going to be found in this series. It's going to be me just talking, as I always do, about things that I experienced, places that we're going, how I built my business, and how I'm really guiding my business in the direction that I want it to go. I want this series to be something that you can reflect back on in your own business. I would love for this to be a resource for you. And hopefully I can answer some of the questions that are on your mind, or cover some of the topics that you might be facing, or cover topics that you will potentially face. Because let me tell you, my journey in business ownership, just like everybody's journey in business ownership, has not been super easy. Just because it's successful does not mean it's easy. And I think, truthfully, if it was easy, I wouldn't do it. Or if it was easy, I would probably have 10 businesses and it would be out of control. So I want to be able to be a resource, be your internet big sister, your small business best friend, to kind of just lean on and be a place where you can land to hopefully help you navigate some of these topics you're going through and some of these things that you will go through, because it's not easy. It hasn't been easy. And if your business is easy, let me tell you that you need to get in the mindset of it's time to hunker down. If you're, typing along and you're thinking to yourself, wow, this is going so good, I've faced no challenges, you need to brace yourself, because I promise you, you will face challenges. I promise you, you will come across things and stuff that happen, and you will have to navigate them, because there's no way. I do not believe you if you come to me and say, this is so easy, everybody should do it. You're a liar. I'm sorry. But as I said, my small business series, I want this to be a place for you. So if you are a business owner, I implore you to listen up and join in the conversation. You can head on over to our Instagram page. We're at J&E Meets on Instagram. Comment on any post. Send me a DM. Anything that you want to hear, anything that you'd like to talk about or discuss. I'm more than happy to have an open conversation with you, because I am forever learning. One of the reasons why I want to start this series is because I haven't been in business for 25 years. I am a very relatively new business, a new entrepreneur. We haven't been in business for 5 years yet, which is crazy to me how far we've come. And I think for me, that's what makes this podcast, but also this series, so relatable, is I'm learning, I'm making mistakes, I'm figuring shit out just like everybody else. And I think being a little bit of a young business, and as a young person, I mean, I'm 30 years old, I have a lot of room to make mistakes, and I have a lot of room to grow, and I have a lot of opportunities where I can improve, and I have a lot of direction that I can still go in and pivot and everything else. Not that it's bad to have a business for 30 years, but I think a lot of the businesses that, at least in my experience, that I have come across that are veteran businesses and veteran business owners, I wouldn't say they're making mistakes, but I'm absolutely not making mistakes because they know more than I do. But I would say that you see them being kind of stale. You know what I mean? Sometimes those 25 or 30-year businesses and those, like I said, veteran business owners, just sort of, they're stale. They kind of plateau, and things start going well, and the business goes well, and they get into their habits, and that's the way it stays. And I don't know about you, but my brain needs progression. My brain needs growth. My business needs growth. We need drive. We need ambition and determination and change. It's one of my favorite sayings ever, that nothing changes if nothing changes. So in those stale businesses that you see that are just going through the day-to-day, Monday to Friday, regular operation, that haven't done anything different in 25 or 30 years, I just look at those businesses and I think, imagine where you could have gone, or it's not too late. Imagine where you could go. I think to myself all the time, if I had bought a business instead of built a business, because my husband and I built our business completely from the ground up. 4 years ago, we were serving people out of our garage, and now we are running, to be honest with you, $1 million butcher shop in just 4 years that we built in our cornfield last year, and we opened the end of last year, and we just celebrated our 6 month of being open. I think that if I had bought a business, it would have been awesome to be able to flip the script on it. You know, if I had been able to ascertain a 25 or 30-year business and buy that, I sometimes think to myself how fun it would have been to switch things up and try new things and diversify that business and really change things. But at the same time, I mean, I never wanted to inherit somebody else's problems, which is why my husband and I decided to build the business that we did and do things the way that we have, because we can do them exactly how we want them, what suits our family, what suits our business, what suits our business model. Because the other aspect to that is we looked around at stuff to do before we decided on this business. And then it just sort of happened to us organically that, you know, well, we can't find what we're looking for. Nobody is doing what we want. Let's just do it ourselves. And we started off as customers first, as our own customers, to be honest. We served ourselves, and we just kind of extrapolated on that. So this small business series, you're going to be able to follow along with it. It will be interlaid with my other podcasts, because if you're new here, I just jump on and I just talk and I just get my thoughts out there in the world. So you're going to see the small business series labeled the small business series episode, you know, X through X, and be able to follow them along wherever I am. They will be primarily business oriented and small business focused. Maybe we'll have some guest appearances. Maybe I'll be able to sit down with some of my favorite business owners and just hang out and talk about some things. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm excited and I am hopeful. And I'm looking forward to having a place just to land as well, having a place to kind of refer back to. And I mean, I hope it doesn't sound weird, but I do listen to my own podcasts. This truthfully is my own audio diary, and I do follow these along because it's good for me to be able to hear my own thoughts echoed in my own ear again, and be able to take new things and teach myself, because I'm not the type of brain that, you know, can pick up a hammer and a nail and build a birdhouse. I can't do that, and I can't teach myself to do that. But I'm the type of brain that I can think about things and have emotions and have challenges and hurdles and everything else. And I can teach myself how to re-navigate, and I can teach myself how to relearn and how to be more understanding and open-minded. I know that about myself by now. I've been with myself for a long time, so I've got that sort of figured out. Thank you for listening. I know this podcast really wasn't much about anything, I guess, but I did want to hype you up and talk to you about the small business series. So you can make sure that you watch out for them. We will be sharing them, obviously, in our email list. If you're not subscribed yet, you can sign up at jandemeats.com to be a member of our email community. We have over 3,000 of you subscribed now, which is absolutely insane to me. Building an email community is one subject in the small business series that I will be talking about in depth, because it's something I'm very passionate about, and I know that it will help to build your business. So keep an ear out for that. That's going to be one of the first subjects that I cover, is building an email list. But if you'd like to subscribe to mine, I do recommend that you do. because that way you can kind of start doing your research now for the email community that you are going to build. So you can do that at jndmeets.com, see what we are all about. I'm completely unhinged over there as well too, so it's a really good insight not only into my brain and into my business, but maybe you'll spark some questions from that as well. You can also find us on Instagram at jnemeets, on Facebook as well too. I will be talking about social media tips and tricks of how to build your business online, what streams of advertising can work best for you. I'm going to dive right into it. I'm just going to open up my brain and tell you all the mistakes I made along the way and all of my hot fire tips completely free, because I really don't think that you should have to pay for good advice or friendship. And that is what I'm here to do, is to support you. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Meet Mistress podcast. I will catch you on the next one. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Meet Mistress podcast. I'm your host, Emma Butler. I've really enjoyed chatting with you. Thanks for listening. I can't wait to see you back here again. If you'd like to keep up with all things happening J&E Meets, which is our farm store and butcher shop, you can find us over on Instagram at JNE Meets and on Facebook as well too. I will talk to you again very soon.